Well, evacuation efforts are being drawn up in Sudan right now. The country in northeast Africa has now entered a second week of deadly unrest. And the U.S., U.K. and China are among those trying to get their citizens and diplomats out. Ottawa hasn't revealed a rescue plan yet for the 1,500 Canadians registered in Sudan. But it has dispatched the Global Affairs Rapid Deployment Team in neighboring Djibouti to help with any emergency response, consular assistance and logistical support. The evacuations happening today happened as gunfire rang around the capital, Khartoum, despite a 3-day truce called to mark the end of Ramadan. For the latest, let's turn to reporter Naba Mohideen in Khartoum.
The fighting is still going on in the capital Khartoum and other places in the country, including Darfur region. In Khartoum, there was a calm night, a relatively peace night, but this morning things escalated again and the fighting renewed in or around the military headquarters and the presidential palace and Durman, also city, which is the second biggest city after Khartoum, and it's part of the capital. It also came to or extended to eastern Khartoum neighborhoods, including Al Mamoura, Sittin Street, Burri, near the military headquarters. So the fighting now is happening again, and the ceasefire seems to be not working for the fourth time in a row. There is also some news about chaotic burials for the dead bodies. The dead bodies that was not evacuated for 7 days. A lot of eyewitnesses saw security forces taking the dead bodies from the streets and bury them chaotically without DNA tests or autopsy. So right now the fighting is still happening, and the road that links Khartoum to other states is not safe again, despite that thousands of families again are trying to get out of this war zone, Khartoum, and going to Madani and Al Jazeera state. The fighting is still going on, and a lot of people got killed this morning.
Reporter Naba Mohideen for us in Khartoum. Well, Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly tweeted today that she has spoken with her counterpart in Kenya about Canada's support for regional efforts to resolve the conflict. Joly has said evacuating Canadians is impossible right now because of the security situation in Sudan. The embassy in Khartoum has temporarily suspended in-person operations. Consular services are still available, but could be limited due to the fighting. Saida Mustafa is a Sudanese-Canadian medical student. She's been trapped with her sister in their home in Khartoum since last Saturday. She says their situation is extremely stressful.
It's just been really difficult trying to process everything. Everything just kind of happened very quickly. That morning, I was actually on my way to take an exam. I'm a medical student here studying at a university, and it was just like the moment I decided to come back home after the exam, that's when everything just kind of broke out. And we just were very traumatized, and we were panicking, and we didn't know what to do. And we were instructed to stay away from windows and stay indoors. So ever since Saturday, I have not left my house. I wasn't able to leave my house to get any sort of necessities. We've kind of just been living off of what my parents bought us. Thankfully, a few days before that, my parents sent us a care package that included all kind of basic packaged foods and canned foods that we're still living off of, and we don't know how long it's going to last us. And we've just kind of been very scared trying to accommodate with everything that's kind of happening around us.
And Saida, your parents are currently in Saudi Arabia, is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, so we're looking at some images right now of Khartoum as you and I are speaking. Help us understand, You say you've now been inside for a week. What has it sounded like to you over the past week, you and your sister, as you've been trapped inside your home?
Oh my God, okay, it's we've heard a lot of shootings and bullets and bazookas and bombings and fighter jets flying over our heads and people fighting outside, and it's just been a lot that we've been hearing, and we've kind of been avoiding that by staying centralized in an area that has no sort of contact with the outside world, like areas that don't have windows, but it has just been very crazy. Our window downstairs, it fell off because the building shakes whenever a bomb goes off nearby, and it's just been very, very kind of difficult to just kind of see and hear all these things. And supposedly there's supposed to be a ceasefire going on, but I guess due to the lack of communication between people, they haven't been able to coordinate that. And it's really unfortunate because now this just leaves us trapped here and traumatized, and we just don't know what to do here.
So you and your sister are currently living off of this care package that your parents sent you. Have you been able to speak with your parents? I have to imagine that they're worried sick about you and your sister.
Oh my God, they are worried sick, definitely. They have no idea what they can do. They feel like they're very helpless, and we've been trying to get a hold of like different people and seeing different sources of information, as in maybe the airport's opening or people going off like into rural areas because it has, I guess, less of action going there. But we have no idea. They don't know what to do. They're worried sick. Yeah.
And Seda, I understand that you have tried to reach out to the Canadian government looking for assistance, looking for information. What response did you get?
Okay, so I initially tried reaching out within the first few days of everything going down, and they kind of kept sending automated messages, as in the ones that had, I guess, basic precautions like staying away from the windows or keeping your phone charged or keeping a good supply of food around the house. And I just kept trying to urge them, and they told me to register with ROCA, which is the registration of the Canadians abroad. And I did so, but I couldn't really find much use up until recently, actually. Just before I got on, I heard that Saudi Arabia was planning to evacuate its Canadian citizens and different nationals as well back into Saudi Arabia. So that's kind of the only response that we've gotten. Otherwise, I haven't heard much. No.
Okay, so Canadian officials have not been able to give you any advice or help in terms of how you could actually get out of Sudan right now?
No, because they basically just said that the consular services are limited and they're unable to do anything because the airports are closed. Yeah.
That care package, you said you don't know how much longer you guys can go with what's in there. Are we talking days? Are we talking weeks? At what point do you think you might run out of supplies?
Probably like a week or two more, yeah.
A week or two more. What would you like the Canadian government to do at this point, Seda?
I would like them to go and comfort the Canadian citizens, let them know that they have a government behind them, and let them know that will all end and we will be able to evacuate safely. I would like them to address all Canadians directly rather than having to go through other government officials. And I just want them to help us out here, both mentally and physically.
That was Seda Mustafa. She's a Sudanese Canadian trapped in Khartoum by the fighting.